My only comment is that week between Christmas and New Year's is often difficult. And I will say I'm not gonna be here.
Okay.
So, I'd really like to be a part of it.
Sure.
Okay.
If you guys have some other dates, just throw it out. We can maybe even move it to the week before. I'll just have to talk with the judge about that. But yeah, if you guys just want to shoot me some dates that work within that 2-week period, we can try to find what works for the majority of everybody.
Okay.
Okay?
Other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
We will get back with you on that.
Okay, thanks.
Additional reports from state or county officials. All right, moving on. Limited public comment at this time. Any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Good morning, Rick Moore, Irving Township. I'm almost inclined not to do this anymore, but I'm kind of stubborn with a smile on my face. Please use the microphone or speak in your outdoor voice. Also, I have a little good news to share about the Paul Henry Thornapple Trail. They finally finished putting down the concrete on the section on Sherman Street where we had to move a utility pole. It took months. But people were fortunately still able to cross that street from one side to the other because it's such a low traffic area, unlike 66 or something. So the concrete has been finally put down. We'll probably have a celebration in the spring or something to demonstrate that. But it's very interesting in that every time I ride that section of the trail, it is filled with young mothers and baby carriages showing what's going on, you know, snakes crossing the road and birds and that kind of stuff. So it brings city people out into the country. And that's why I've always supported trails, because it's important to keep people in town and kind of in enclosed areas, and then a country place for them to ride their bicycles and go for a walk. Otherwise, our farm ground will be composed of a house on 5 acres, another house on 5 acres, and then we'll be losing our farm ground. So people will be more inclined to live in town where things are convenient for them, as long as they have a place to go ride out into the country or go for a walk. And as they said in the Blue Zones in the National Geographic, just one 20-minute walk in the woods is medically identifiable for the next 4 days in your health. So go a walk in the woods, and not just once every 4 days. Try to do it more frequently, because the people you meet on the trail are just friends that you haven't met yet. So thank you very much. I'm Rick Moore, not related to any other Moores, and I support this message. Thank you.
You have my vote. Additional public comment? Hearing no additional public comment, we will move on with our agenda. The chair would entertain a motion for approval of the November 5th, 2024 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Calton, support by Campbell. Motion by Calton, support by Campbell for approval of the November 5th, 2024 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Any additional discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The motion is approved. Resolution to join the national lawsuit against insulin providers. Is Mike here with us this morning?
Yeah, he said it might be a little late.
Okay, let's go with Meshia. Come on down.
Hello, good morning. All right, so I am here today to present the revised apportionment report. Last month, we approved the annual apportionment report, which is due in October. We have to do it in October every year. But if there is a change after the November elections, which this year there were for both Carlton and Maple Grove Townships, we have to include those changes in the apportionment report. So what you're seeing is just the revision, including those new levies for 2024.
Happens during election years once in a while.
Yes.
So, all right. So the base numbers, except for those 2 townships, really didn't change then at all. So
Correct,
It's the same, okay.
correct.
Awesome.
Everything else stayed the same, just the levies for Maple Grove and Carlton.
Okay. Any questions for Meshia? The chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the revised 2024 apportionment report.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Smelker, support by Getty to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the revised 2024 apportionment report. Additional discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Next up,
Still me.
still you.
So the second reason I'm here today is to ask for your approval and acknowledgement of our department's plan for long-term stability. We had a retirement, Carla Miller. She retired October 31st, and she had been with the county for 25 years. And at the time of her retirement, she was acting in the capacity of senior property appraiser. So that position is now vacant. We posted the position, and as you may or may not know, there is an extreme shortage of certified assessors in the state of Michigan. This is not a unique issue to Berry County. This is a statewide problem. And so knowing that, the solution that I have to get in front of that problem is to hire in at the entry-level property appraiser position, allow the employees in the department to grow and develop under my direct supervision, allow them the opportunity to get the necessary certification, and then eventually promote whoever gets that certification to the position of senior property appraiser. So we're not creating a new position. We already have a property appraiser position. We would just hire in at that same entry level. Maintain the vacancy of the senior property appraiser until we can actually fill it within the county.
Okay. What's the process of getting the certifications? How long of a process is that?
So the first certification is a 9-month process. You have to apply to be in the program, and the one that is coming up the soonest is in January. It's a 9-month program. There are weekly classes. There's a lot of studying, a lot of assignments, a lot of hands-on experience that you have to go through, and then there are 2 exams that you have to pass. It's a very in-depth process. It's a very exhausting process, and it's going to take an individual who's very dedicated and is aware of what it's going to take to earn that certification.
Okay. Do you have somebody in mind for that position?
We do. So we actually have an internal candidate at the county, which I'm a firm believer that we want to keep our employees satisfied. And if we have a really good employee at the county, we want to keep them at the county. And we want to allow them the opportunity to grow within. That's how we keep our employees here, good employees here working for us at this organization.
Awesome. Questions for Meshia?
No, you're getting a really good young man.
Yes.
That's very, very aggressive and can learn fast.
Yes, very aggressive, which is what drew me to him in the first place.
Jeff is very disappointed.
Yes. In my defense, he had a very awesome recommendation.
Oh, no, I know that. He did. He wants them to succeed.
Yes.
And move forward. So,
Yes.
yeah.
And I think Jeff's on board with me that we want to keep those dedicated employees here at the
Absolutely.
county.
Oh, yeah. He's not trying to hold them back at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he wants them to go forward and be successful. So thanks.
Other questions or comments? All right, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to allow the Equalization Department to have 2 appraiser positions until such time as one of the appraiser meets the qualifications of senior appraiser position.
So moved. Support.
Motion by Smelker, support by Doster, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to allow the Equalization Department to have 2 appraiser positions until such time as one of the appraisers meets the qualifications of senior appraiser of the senior appraiser position. Additional discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Meshia.
Thank you.
Mike Hagerty? Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Hello.
Insulin litigation resolution.
Yeah. So thank you for taking the opportunity.
This is essentially the story of this. Mike Hagerty, I work for Gallagher, which manages the health insurance pool that you're part of. So it's a large public sector health insurance pool, has about 200 entities like you from around the state. About 2 months ago, a law firm out of Lansing called Troon Law notified through an e-blast that there was going to be a lawsuit by France law firm out of California regarding insulin prices. So this same law firm has driven nationwide litigation over vaping and social media that many schools have been part of. The whole premise of this is that pharmacy benefit managers and insulin manufacturers have inflated the prices of insulin over the years. So the concept around this mass litigation is you get a number of entities together that have been harmed by those increased prices, and then you go for litigation. So that's kind of the reason why this even came about. The pool itself is a collection of, like I said, 200 public entities. That board has already passed a resolution to join the litigation. The attorneys have recommended that both entities that make up the pool and the pool as a whole join the litigation. Reason being is when the lawsuit actually comes to fruition, it's possible that the defendants could try to argue that either the pool is not eligible to be part of it, or each entity themselves is not part of it, and try to get one of them removed. So you joined the pool basically a year ago. This litigation goes back to 2019 prices. So the rationale for you joining it as a county would be your claims would be included all the way back to 2019. Now, I don't even know how much the county has spent in insulin costs. I can tell you from a group of 200, we have some that have hardly spent any, and we have some that have spent $650,000. The goal of recovery is 90% of what you spent. That's what the attorneys believe that has been inflated over that period of time. There's no cost to the county for joining. Your cost would be in hours of labor, I would say, as a questionnaire would need to be completed by your administrative team at some point. There is no attorney cost. They would take 30% of any financial judgment if there is a financial judgment. So the recommendation of the attorney would be entities like the county and the pool both join the litigation. Chances are it's going to play out over a number of years, right? None of this is settled quickly. If there is a financial settlement that comes back to the pool, meaning that collection of groups that have formed this medical pool, that money will be used to lessen rates in the future. If the county were to join and be part of the winning, and it's in their favor, there'd most likely be a financial settlement that would come back to you. We've seen that with both vaping and social media, that school districts at least have gotten some settlements back from that litigation. What's going to happen here, I have no idea. So I'm obviously not an attorney. I'm not making any recommendation. I'm necessarily just sharing with you what the attorneys have recommended and what the pool as a whole has done. And then you as a county can decide on your own whether you want to pass the resolution and join the litigation as well.
Okay, thank you. Eric, and maybe I know Luella does the healthcare coalition for us as far as, are we able to pull that information up without spending thousands of hours on I mean, you're talking about users.
Yeah.
We've had 2 different providers since I've been a commissioner.
It won't be easy.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but it'll take some time together.
Do you have a recommendation for your seat on joining this?
I don't, either way, this is purely your discretion. It's a political issue, whether or not you move forward on this. It doesn't cost you a thing to join besides our time, which, you know, we obviously have a few things going on, but purely your discretion whether you want to move forward or not.
I'm skeptical whether we can find that information to the depth that we need it, but I don't see an issue with joining the lawsuit as a county, so.
If we were in the pool for the whole time, I wouldn't be worried about it because they would have all the information. Because we were not, is that readily accessible? I think.
I just have a question for Mike. So this goes back to what date?
2019.
Say that again.
What date does it start, or?
What date did it start? 2019.
So they'll go
So-
back to 2019.
19. And by the way, there would be a questionnaire that you'd need to complete. The attorneys would go to the carriers to get the claims information. So all the carriers obviously know. So what we did as a pool, of course, you've been in it a year, but we went back to 2019, asked our 2 carriers what has been spent on insulin over that time. It's a report that they ran. We know as a pool, it's about $13 million that we spent over that period of time. So now, each entity makes up a part of that, of course, but collectively, with the size of your organization, you're a pretty good size, I would say. My guess is that you've spent a fairly decent amount of money.
Okay. Questions from commissioners?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
thank you. A couple of questions. So you're saying that, okay, so we spent, what, $13 million on insulin, but you say it's been inflated tenfold? Because you say you want to get 90% back, which would mean we should have only paid 10% of that. So you're saying we should have only paid, it's been that inflated tenfold?
The law firm that is driving this believes that that is the case, yes. I haven't looked at that data myself, but that is what they're claiming, yes.
Okay, and I'm just having trouble, okay, so the time, so we're gonna put time into it, but there's no consequence or blowback on losing something like this to us?
Did you say using something like this?
Losing. Like,
Yeah,
let's say we
right.
lose a lawsuit, I know that sometimes there could be penalties to the people that bring on the lawsuit, cost to them. There would be no potential liability on us if we lose such a lawsuit.
Correct. I believe your only true liability would be you couldn't then turn around and sue them directly if you were part of this, the manufacturers. Now, the reality is you're never going to do that. But once you join this, you've joined the litigation through this collective group.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they're taking 30% as a contingency if they win the suit.
Right.
So
That's
we
right.
we don't have a downside risk on this, that they're doing it in essence pro bono or free of charge to the county.
Correct.
If they win, they get 30% of the settlement.
Yeah, obviously they have enough experience and have looked at this deep enough to know that they've got a pretty good chance of winning, because there's got to be a significant amount of time involved, but they would recoup 30% of any financial settlement.
I'm kind of with Mike, that attorney sometimes makes some extraordinary claims. 90% may not be the right number, but it gets people to the table talking, so,
That's right. My guess is that's the starting number, right?
Yeah. Commissioner Doster?
I don't understand this entirely. So is this another suit that, say the group prevails and the manufacturers pay the penalty? Is that correct? Or the pharmacies pay the penalty, or?
That's who they would be suing, is the insulin manufacturers.
Okay, so is this another case, are we going to put them out of business by doing that? Some of these suits have put pharmacies are closing all around us because of some of these punitive suits against them. I mean, from this point forward, are we getting the lower rate? Are we getting the 10% rate or whatever? I mean, anyway.
I know there's been federal legislation to drive down the price of insulin in the last year. Just to be clear, the Rite Aids and the CVS's of the world are not who they're going after.
Okay.
They're going after and manufacture.
Pharmacia?
Pharmacia, Pfizer, those type of company. And I'm not saying those are the ones. I'm only giving an example of pharmacy companies. So I don't believe there would be a direct correlation between litigation driving the corner store pharmacy issue versus the actual manufacturer of the insulin drug who's setting the prices.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. So this is, it's kind of reminding me back with the opioid settlement and such, a focus. It was different but similar in some ways, the opioid settlement. But, okay, you're focused in on insulin, but if they gouged us on insulin, they must have gouged us on all other classes of drugs. Do you think that you might see lawsuits in each of these categories of drugs?
My assumption is insulin must be one of the most egregious increases that they've seen. So much so, like I mentioned, there's been federal legislation to limit what they can charge for insulin. So my guess is this is the one that they went after because it's the most egregious. To say that other drugs are not inflated maybe beyond what they should be, that's possible. But this seems to be one that they targeted.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smelker.
You said that the litigators can go back to us in the pool and find out the information they need. Can they go back to who our providers were before we were in your pool?
Yeah, yep.
Very good.
Yeah, once you become part of the legislation, they then have the legal standing to go back to basically either Blue Cross or Priority Health and get the necessary claims data.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Tunison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm trying to wrap my head around, I do probably figure this out, but it basically boils down to corporate greed, right? I mean, you tell me how they knew that the amount of people are going on diabetes medicine, right? I mean, so they short the supply to drive this up, or did they buy out competitors, or how were they able to get away with raising it so high that people can't afford it?
You're referring to insulin or
Yes, I'm
or
referring to insulin.
the GLP drugs?
Well, that too, but I'm referring to insulin more than that. I mean, how does it go from 2019 to where they've driven the price up to where it is now, where it's not affordable for people?
Yeah. It's a valid point, right? This is what sometimes happens in the drug manufacturing industry. You don't have a lot of companies producing a product, and then they all seem to increase the price at the same time. And really, the way that we combat those things is through litigation most times in this country. And this is an example of that we believe we've been unfairly charged for what it should be. You've hurt families, and what we're going to do about it is sue you to stop it. And fortunately, that's a common theme in how we have to handle things. Wouldn't surprise me down the road if there's not something with some of the GLP weight suppression drugs. And we look at the cost of them for diabetes, and we look at the cost of them for weight suppression, and it's about 3 times as much. And it doesn't make a lot of sense from a pricing standpoint, but we believe it's a supply and demand, and they're really driving the price in the market.
Commissioner Hatfield.
couple of questions. First of all, if we find that participating in this is placing sufficient burden on staff, if we're not comfortable with it, do we have the ability to withdraw?
Yes, I believe the answer is yes. If you don't complete the questionnaire, which would be the next step, which would be the staff burden, then you wouldn't be part of the litigation.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just curiosities, we have 200 approximately in this pool. Out of those 200, how many have been favorably receptive to this idea of doing the resolution? How many have so far have joined in?
Of your employees?
No, of your, you said.
Oh,
there's
I see.
200 in
Oh,
the pool.
yeah, thank you.
How many of those have been receptive to this concept?
It's a good question. The resolutions aren't due until the end of the month, so I don't know for sure. I would, if I had to peg it, I'd say most of the larger ones, but I would say under 30
So far.
so far.
Okay.
You, I mean, of the ones that you've approached or have been reached, I mean, you've got quite a few yet that haven't been approached with this yet?
No, all the information went out to the board at the same time.
Okay.
And understand, there's a group of 200, half of that group have less than 50 lives.
Yes.
So there is a point of diminishing return based on your size. Now, fortunately, your organization is quite large in terms of that. So my bet is a number of them under 50 lives don't give it a second thought because of the staff time.
Additional questions? I mean, when I looked at this and read through the resolution, I don't see any harm in joining the lawsuit. I think there may be some benefits for us. I don't know that we're gonna see these 4 or 5 years down the road. And if we get the questionnaire and working with Eric and Luella, we go through it and go, this is way too much work versus what it is, then we just don't fill out the questionnaire and it dies there. So we can approve it, we can approve the resolution and kind of play it by ear as we get the questionnaire and see what it actually takes to be a part of it. So
Yeah.
if it's
Fair.
3,000 man hours, maybe not so much, you know? If it's a few hours.
They
you know.
predicted 10, but they said that was probably on the high side,
Okay,
10 hours.
okay, perfect. Perfect. All right, if there are no additional questions, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners adoption of Resolution 24-26, a resolution to join the nationwide insulin lawsuit.
So move.
Support, Hatfield.
Motion by Calton, support by Hatfield, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners adoption of Resolution 24-26, a resolution to join the nationwide insulin lawsuit. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you for your time this morning and your explanation, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good day.
Jim McManus.
Good morning.
Tick tock, tick tock.
Not quite yet.
Not quite. How many days do we have left? Hours, minutes? You know, so.
Not there yet. So today I have for you just PA 116 applications for Michael Pickard. There are 4 different applications for 4 different properties, but they're all in Irving Township. So we treated it as one motion at the Planning Commission. So that's when you see the minutes, that's what it came in as. There's a couple of different sections. Each of the properties are currently zoned rural residential and planned for agricultural use. They're all being actively farmed as we speak. So it was an easy decision for the Planning Commission to unanimously approve these.
Okay. We haven't done as many of these as we have in the past. Our PA 116s have kind of slowed a little.
Well, they tend to cycle because they're on 10-year contracts, so it almost takes a change of ownership, like in this case, or a contract that's ending that they want to renew.
Okay. We've seen several of these before, so this is nothing new. I've read through it in some detail. Everything looked fine. It was interesting that there were 4 different parcels in this one. Made for a long board packet, so you know.
It did, yeah, quite a bit of paper.
Any questions for Mr. McManus?
I just had one. Do most of them, Jim, do the 10? They can go up to like 99 or something.
They can, yeah, so it's 10-year increments, but they can be any number of years, 30, 40, 50.
But in general, 10 is the take?
I think it varies enough. I've seen several that have gone the full distance. I've seen some that have gone 30 to 40, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Additional questions? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of PA 116 applications, farmland and open space preservation, 24-2, 24-3, 24-4, 24-5 for Michael Pickard, located in sections 13, 24, and 25 of Irving Township.
So moved.
Second?
Go ahead.
Motion by Tunison, support by Smelker, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of PA 116 applications, farmland and open space preservation, 24-2, 24-3, 24-4, 24-5 for Michael Pickard, located in sections 13, 24, and 25 of Irving Township. Any additional discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Sarah. Good morning again.
Good morning again. So what we have here is we had approved in our 2024 capital budget an approved expenditure of $40,000 to remove the existing dysfunctional shelving units that's in our vault, and then replace them with rolling shelving units and new ends at the end of the vault, which will create some more storage space. We've been working with the vendor, and it's not going to occur in 2024, the whole entire project. So what we're asking for is a budget increase for 2025 to be able to move forward with this project.
Okay, so the project in this, $34,628?
Correct.
Okay, and what was budgeted for it, $40,000?
40,000.
Okay. Questions from commissioners?
I got one comment. I know that they've tried fixing this thing numerous times.
Yeah.
Mike fixed it a couple times, but it's just falling apart, so.
Yeah,
I think it's in a situation where it's not fixable.
Yes, the one unit we've had fixed twice by a company, but they no longer can get parts because of the shelving unit and the internal mechanics are outdated. They can no longer get the parts for that. And we did have Mike and Rick and Jeff work on it. They fixed it, but it only did work for a short period of time.
Okay. Okay, additional questions or comments? Mr. Smelker?
I guess to understand this right, it was in the budget for 24. We just want to move the money from 24 to 25?
Correct, Eric?
Yeah, maybe if they can get started on it this year, they'll try, but we will make those adjustments. You approve this project going forward, we'll make the adjustments to the budget.
Okay.
And another one is, the ones that I noticed a bid on, do we have any of them that you're using at this time?
What do you mean?
The shelving units and stuff that I seen the bid on in here? Do we have any of them in use in the county now, or are these a different kind?
I believe the courts have, if I'm right, Inez, have you used Casper Corporation for shelving units? No? Okay, so we've used them in our office before for other things. When we used to have that, which is in the Drain Commissioner's office now, we had that turning shelving unit system in there. We used them 10 years ago for that. And I don't know of anybody else that has used them.
Okay.
They are a reputable company. I've not had any personal experience with them, but I have had bids from them included with other projects that I've been involved with, and they have come with good recommendations.
Okay. Did they give you an estimate for completion of the project?
It would be February or March.
February or March, okay. Okay. Additional questions or comments?
Was there anybody else that does these? I see there was just one bid, right?
Correct. So Pam Palmer had originally worked with them in 2023 before she retired, and Cindy reached back out to them. I believe there are a few other companies that do that. We can reach out to them if you would like us to. I mean, if we're going to move it in the budget, we can do that.
Okay.
Chances are Pam checked with them before.
Yes.
And I don't remember it. No, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No further questions. The chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the attached quote from Casper Corporation for purchase and installation of rolling file systems in the amount of $34,628.51 with funds to be paid from the CPL fund.
So moved. Hatfield.
Motion by Hatfield, support by Getty, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the attached quote from Casper Corporation for purchase and installation of the rolling file system in the amount of $34,628.51 with funds to be paid for from the CPL fund. Any additional discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hang on just a second. Do we need a couple minutes?
Just go ahead, I've got this audio here.
Okay, perfect. Having a few technical difficulties this morning, so.
Okay.
So if you're not being broadcast live over the World Wide Web, it's not on me this time, so.
That's great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
All right, thank you.
Eric.
Morning, Mr. Chair, Commission.
Good morning.
First item up is the MSU Extension 25 Memorandum Agreement. Scott Korpak wishes he'd be here, but he's at required training today, and this was the only day he had, and he had to get it done by tomorrow, so. If you want him here next week, he said he could be available, but this is not a change. This is the amount we budgeted for the 25 year, and no change.
Okay. All right, and this is something that comes before us on an annual basis. It's the same contract. It looks almost identical.
Yes, sir.
Was there a bump or an increase?
I don't believe so.
I didn't see anything, but.
I do not believe so. And then basically also, he said if anything happens throughout the year, we need to change their office space based on things moving. They're flexible on that too.
Okay. Questions for Eric on the MSU extension contract? I know there was some questions on MSU and the service of it. Commissioner Smelker?
Did they happen to say if they were gonna have it open any more than they are with this contract?
No, they're providing the current hours that they have with the staff that they have. There are times that they do have a lot of, I guess, more regional staff that's in the area working directly with the farmers, other ag producers. That they're not in the office, but we do get that additional staff that's just a bonus from the current contract.
Okay. Commissioner Doster, did you have any further questions? I know you had some concerns earlier in the year when we were talking to Scott.
No.
Okay. Perfect. Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the 2025 Memorandum of Agreement between Berry County and Michigan State University Extension. Someone like to make that motion?
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Campbell, support by Hatfield, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the 2025 Memorandum of Agreement between Berry County and Michigan State University Extension. Additional discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
One opposed, noted. Thank you. Would you like Mr. Korpak to be here next week and address any of your concerns, or?
Yeah, I've brought him up to him before, but if he wishes to, he may.
Okay.
I'll let them know.
Credit card policy.
Credit card policy and reviewing documents. I determined that an update to the credit card policy was needed. There were a few items that just weren't covered in the policy we had. So those additions makes it fully compliant with the Public Act 266 of 1995. The attorneys added a few things, that's why you got in your emails over the weekend, they added a couple lines, which, while they were fine, it wasn't like, I'm like, that's, okay, that's fine, we'll add that just to make sure you guys are happy. But this really lays out the issuance of cards, who's responsible for it, the limit of credit cards that are available, and basically unauthorized use. So if it's not used per policy, it's on the individual who uses the card. So it just does all that protection.
Okay, and I know we had talked about this, but approximately how many people in the county have cards at this point?
There will be about 8, I believe, that will have cards at this point.
So this isn't far-reaching, there's not 200 of them out there?
No, gosh, no. I mean, we'd have almost every employee with one at that point, but right now it's limited to specific department heads.
Okay. Reservations for meetings or?
Conferences, if website purchases. One thing we did change was right now, the old credit cards were based on individual credit, which I have a philosophical problem with putting someone's personal credit on the line for a county card. High Point has a card that's a county-based organizational. So it doesn't impact, so my credit score actually went down when I pulled the $25,000 card for the county. So I was like, well, that doesn't really make sense. So this is a county-based limit. Obviously, we still get to control, we get to see all of what they spend money on. We still get to ensure that it's being done correctly. And we still have the ability to pursue any unauthorized charges. So I think it's the best of both worlds on that, and I appreciate High Point having that product.
Perfect, okay. Questions for Eric? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the attached updated credit card policy as required by PA 266 of 1995.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Getty, support by Tunison, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the attached updated credit card policy as required by PA 266 of 1995. Additional discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Reappointment of David Tripp to the Building Authority Board.
The next two items are just reappointments, so.
Okay, these are pretty standard items that we do. This is for a 3-year term from David Tripp on the County Building Authority.
David's been on there quite a while, hasn't
He has been on there quite a while and does a good job, so.
he? Yeah.
Any questions?
My only question is on the listing, there's no information about Donald Perry. So, not related to David Tripp, but no contact information.
Okay. I do not have an answer for that. I don't know.
What to do?
Oh, we'll get you one. Any additional questions? The chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint David Tripp to serve on the Berry County Building Authority for a 3-year term that begins on 1/1/25 and expires on 12/31/27.
So moved, Hatfield.
Support, Smelker.
Motion by Hatfield, support by Smelker, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint David Tripp to serve on the Berry County Building Authority for a 3-year term that begins on 1/1/25 and expires on 12/31/27. Additional discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Final item on the agenda is the reappointment of myself and Cindy Vuzga to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority for 2021 for a 3-year term through 2027. I think I've been on that board since we had a Brownfield chair, and Cindy has been on that Brownfield board and is a good member of that board as well, so I don't have any problems. The second guy may be a little problem, but Cindy certainly does a good job, so, you know, they're all good, so. Questions or concerns?
Can we nominate one to a time?
No. We're not splitting the motion. There is no discussion. The chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint Cindy Vuzga and Dave Jackson to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2027.
Support.
Motion by Tunison, support by Smelker, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint Cindy Vuja and David Jackson to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2027. Additional discussion. All those in favor say aye. Oops.
I just would state that it's my personal opinion that the board members should abstain from voting for themselves. It's my personal opinion that board members should abstain from voting for themselves to be on boards, just as a matter of I don't know, protocol, I guess.
Okay.
I'm glad you explained that, otherwise I was gonna take that vote from last week personally.
Oh, because I asked that you did as well, and I'd like to be consistent, so.
Yeah, and I don't mind that opinion. I talked to Michael about this in the past when we've had these things. This is certainly not controversial, where there's something at risk here. And my opinion has always been you were elected to represent your district, yourself, in the positions like that. So you need to make difficult votes sometimes, even if you're involved in that vote. So it's a splitting hairs to a degree, but you are elected to do those things. So additional discussion? Thank you, Mark. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Limited public comment at this time. Any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes. I see a notepad.
Larry Bass, Carlton Township. I've got an observation and then a question. There's been some little consternation about us looking for an HR manager. So I did a little investigation and did some analysis of the salary. The salary that's being offered is frankly less than the average salary for an HR manager in the state. And as I understand it, this has been in the works for quite some time. That salary has even been budgeted. So this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. I got to read my own writing now. There's 75 counties that have filed a lawsuit against the MPSC for taking local control of zoning and planning. Are we one of those counties? I can get that answer in your comments, but I would really like to know if we stepped forward and done that. We only got 83 counties, and 75 of them are suing the MPSC. So I'd really like to know if we're involved with that or not. Thank you.
75 counties are suing the MPSC.
Yes.
Okay. I don't have an answer for that, but we will find one. We will get one. Additional public comment?
I would support that. I do not like state taking over local control. I think we know better what's best for our community here, and when you have a bunch of bureaucrats appointed by one governor telling all of you and me and everybody else that who are elected, that just doesn't work for me, and I'm pretty sure it's unconstitutional. So, thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment? Hearing none. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Tunison?
I'm good this week, Mr. Chair. Thanks.
Okay. Commissioner Campbell?
I just wanted to send out a thank you to Eric Zuzma for stopping by at the, let's see, that was Johnstown Township the other night, introducing himself and letting them know that his office was always open, and I thought the township was very receptive of that and very appreciative of him doing that.
Awesome. Vice Chair Hatfield?
Two things. I reported at a previous meeting that the Hastings Downtown Development Authority is having a meeting this Thursday, and that they would be reporting on the downtown streetscape project. The information that was given to me was probably slightly overemphasized. The DDA does have their regular meeting this Thursday, and as part of that meeting, they're presenting their PA 57 semi-annual report, which does include a couple of remarks on the streetscape project, but it's a written report that's just going to be handed out. There's no real public presentation about it, so don't go expecting more than what's going to actually happen, which is not much.
Okay.
Second of all, finally, and I'll pass this around so you can all see it, but we're going to have a groundbreaking for the Hastings Riverwalk Lofts, which is what's always been referred to as the Royal Coach Project immediately across the river from the amphitheater. That groundbreaking will be this Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. So another great step forward in terms of addressing the county's housing needs.
Awesome. Thank you. Commissioner Smelker.
Larry kind of already alluded to it, but I heard on the news that, about this lawsuit just this morning. And that's the first I've heard about it. And I read Mac's thing thoroughly. Now, I'm not saying I didn't miss it on there, but I did know that Ionia is involved in it.
Okay.
And I would like to look into this more and see if it's something we should join,
Okay.
because I'm for it too.
Perfect. Commissioner Getty.
I don't have anything.
Commissioner Colton.
I agree with John and Dar and everyone that, you know, I think it's egregious that the state took away our rights for planning and zoning, I think. So it was a complete take, nothing given back, and we had nothing in it. So I think we need to get on that if we're not already on it.
Okay. Commissioner Doster.
I have two things. My first thing, I have a little handout, if I could.
Okay.
Take one of those, pass it around. This is a survey that has been generated by SWIMBA. That's the 9-county organization that we belong to that spends money on substance abuse. This is information that they garner every year. This is the Michigan Profile for Healthy Youth, and they do surveys in our high schools, well, 7th, 9th, and 11th grade. And Berry County participates in this. There are 2 counties that did not participate, which is Berrien, and who usually does, but for some reason didn't do it, and Calhoun, which has never participated in this study. But this shows the usage of certain drugs by high schoolers and middle school in the last 30 days. And they have drinking, binge drinking, prescription drug, marijuana, tobacco, and vaping. And the first column is for 2012, and then 2018 and 2022 and 2024, and there's been significant decrease in all of those categories. 2020 was not done because of the COVID. 2 of the categories, prescription and vaping, were not done in 2012 because it wasn't considered a significant problem, and then they reared their head afterwards. But I thought this was an interesting chart. Kind of shows that maybe some of the money and prevention that we're doing actually does have some sort of an effect on
That's impressive.
people here in Berry County even, yeah.
That's an impressive graph.
The other thing I wanted to mention, and I almost wish that Rich was here to explain it better, because I don't think I'm going to do that great a job, but I think it's quite interesting and something that the board should be aware of. SWIMBA is putting a large investment into AI technologies, and I believe that all 9 counties are going to lease equipment from them, specifically for mental health counseling and drug abuse counseling, that there will be an AI machine that will be present in those. And what its purpose is that it will take notes that the physician normally would do, and that it will also prompt the physician if they forget, like, for example, to tell the patient when their next scheduled meeting is. These AI, my understanding, are not hooked up to the cloud or the internet, that they maintain directly with mental health, and that it's voluntary, that patients can opt out of it. It's something that 2 of the counties have already been doing fairly successfully. Now the other 7 counties are going to give it a try. They claim that it saves approximately 15 minutes out of an hour session by doing this. We will see. I think that there's going to be some apprehension. This is going to be the first of probably a lot of involvement that we will soon have with AI. I can see it coming to our courts system, being on the counter in the clerk's office, being here at our meetings to prompt whether we're following parliamentary procedure. I think it's something we probably are going to have to figure out how to deal with. But
I see acceptance is based on your age group.
well, definitely.
How comfortable you are or not with it, but
Yes.
yeah, that'll be interesting. I appreciate the update.
Yes.
Is this data going to be available by county?
By county, I imagine that they have that info.
Well, I mean, it's very impressive. I hope that we mirror that.
I think this was an average of the 7 counties that participated. Now, obviously, Kalamazoo is in this group. They skew, and that's probably why Calhoun didn't participate, is they also skew. Those 2 counties are such conglomerates compared to the other 7 in the group. I could ask to see if we can pull out Berry counties. Yeah.
That would be. A few notes. One is, it's going to snow on Wednesday. So I want to apologize for those of you who don't own snowmobiles. It's not going to be a lot of snow, but it 'tis the season, so be careful. I don't know what our car deer hits are so far this season, but I just finished driving 8 hours down and back from Missouri, and there were several. So all over the place. I know Berry County is typically one of the tops in the states for it, so they're moving, even though, as I've got reports from several of my hunting buddies, that there is not a lot of them moving in front of your blind. So, it was a little bit of a quiet hunting season, so. Other thought is I'm starting to look at committee assignments for next year. Obviously, we have one new commissioner coming in, so if there's something that you are dying to be a part of or not be a part of, and you want to communicate with me on that, I'm already getting some feedback from some different organizations in the county on that as well. So if you have any input, please let me know, because we'll try to wrap those up in December as well. So have a great day. It's going to continue to be cloudy and rainy, it looks like, for the rest of the week, so be careful out there. Thank you for attending this morning. We are adjourned.